Hi guys, welcome back to Reading the Word and Understanding the Bible verse. Today I read Acts chapter 10 and chapter 11, and what I find interesting or what stood out to me the most is in Acts chapter 10. This is Peter has a vision from God, and what's interesting is that starting in verse 12 it says a sheet comes down from heaven. And in the sheet, it has four-legged animals, it has reptiles and birds of the air. And God tells Peter, go ahead and kill and eat. And verse 14, he says, surely is not, Lord. Peter replied, I have never ate anything pearly or unclean. Verse 15 is what is really interesting. It says, the voice of God spoke to him a second time. Do not call anything impure that makes God that God has made unclean. So this is God talking to Peter directly, saying, whatever food I give you is not unclean. It's clean. What is unclean, God made it very strong and very straightforward on what he calls unclean and clean. And that's in Matthew chapter 15, verse 19. It says, For out of our hearts comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, thief, false testimony, and slander. These are what makes a man unclean. But eating with unwashed hands does not make him unclean. So this is God coming at us again when Jesus is alive and saying, those thoughts, those evil things you think of, those are what makes a man unclean. It's not what you eat. It's what comes out of your mouth. What comes from your heart and comes out of your mouth, that's what makes that man unclean. So I find it really interesting that they're like, oh, we can't eat this, or we can't eat reptiles, or we can't eat birds, because that's not unclean, and that's not what God's calling us to do. He's saying, no, you can go ahead and eat whatever you want. But what makes a man unclean is the things that Jesus mentions here. So, in Peter's defense, God comes out to Peter and says, you can't call anything impure what God created. And I think that's a really cool statement, because today we go look around and you go to the store and there's all kinds of things to eat. And I find that really interesting how during Peter's time, he thought, oh, I can't eat this. When Jesus said that that's not what makes a man unclean. So I find it interesting that Peter still wants to follow the tradition ways, and I think that's interesting that Peter is like, I still gotta stay with tradition, and God's saying, no, if you're gonna stay with tradition, that's fine, but that's not what makes a man unclean. It's not food. So I pray this helps you guys today. Pray this gives you a little thought in your brain that just teaches you that there's still a lot of learning lessons that the disciples are going through, even though they've seen Jesus. So I pray that this helps you guys today. Pray that you guys have a good day, blessed day. Love you guys, and God bless.